Hi, my name is Tarik Davis. I'm a lawyer at Davis, Indanusa, Ikhlas, and Salim, and I want to talk to you about your tenants. Let's say you're a landlord. You own a building, you have a tenant, maybe two or three. All of a sudden, one day, for whatever reason, your tenant stops paying their rent. What do you do? Or let's say you're a landlord, you have a building, you've got some tenants in there, but one of those apartments, you want your son who just graduated from college to move in. You want to sell your building and the buyer wants it vacant. You want that tenant or tenants to move for whatever reason. What do? Well, how about this? You could just change the locks when they go to work. When they come back, they find their property outside. They can't get in. You tell them, scram, get out of here. You don't live here anymore. No, you can't do that. That'll get you arrested. So what do? How about this? You shut off the lights in the building, you cut off the heat, you shut off the water. Eventually, they'll get the message and move out. How about that? No, you can't do that. That's called constructive eviction. That'll get you in trouble too. If it doesn't get you arrested, the tenant will likely go to court and get a court order for you to return the services to normal, and he may even sue you for harassment. So you can't do that either. Well, what do? What you do is you get on the phone and you call up a lawyer. Hey, wait a minute, I'm a lawyer. So let's say you called me. What would I tell you? Well, I tell you, if your tenant's not paying any rent, you definitely can take that tenant to court. You can take that tenant to a court known as landlord-tenant court. Now, that's a court specifically designed for landlords who want to take their tenants to court, either because the tenant's not paying or because they just want the tenant to move. That court also handles cases where the tenant takes landlord to court. More about that in a different video. But for this one, let's talk about the landlords taking the tenants to court. You take the tenant to court for non-payment if you want to collect the rent. If the tenant pays the rent, the tenant stays. If the tenant pays, the tenant stays. What that means is if you take the tenant to court for non-payment, and let's say they owe 2, 3, 4, maybe more months of rent, if they're able to pay that rent in that court case, then they get to stay in your apartment or in their apartment. They pay, they stay. But sometimes, as I said before, it's not about the money. You just want the tenant to move. That tenant could have been paying their rent on time all the time. But you just want the tenant to move. You can do that also. It's called a holdover case. Now, with a holdover case, the tenant can't have a lease. The tenant has to be month to month. A lease, which is a contract between the landlord and the tenant, states how long the tenant gets to stay. If a tenant has a lease, you can't just take them to court during the term of that lease to evict them. You have to wait till the lease is over, or potentially talk to a lawyer right before the lease ends so that we can start the process. Now, the process of taking tenants to court for non-payment of rent or for a holdover case, again, a holdover is where you just want the apartment back. They're a little different and involves a lot of paperwork that has to be prepared. Can you do it yourself? Of course you can. But I always tell people, the courts are complicated. Sometimes the rules can be complicated. And there are people in court to help you, but if you hire your own lawyer, you get personal attention. If you hire our firm, you get our complete attention. You get access to the lawyers. You can call us anytime. You get my cell phone number. Oops, did I say that? I guess I did. We here at Davis, Indanusa, Ikhlas, and Salim really try to help our clients, be they landlords or tenants, to get the results they're looking for. When it comes to evicting tenants, I really recommend that you speak to a lawyer, speak to our lawyers about making sure the case is done right. Look forward to hearing from you soon.